and the ones you do need, disable parts of those, run them under not so privileged users, or even disabling version numbers helps a bit. Segmenting the network. I'm surprised at how often I see networks and they're entirely flat. There's just one big segment and all the servers and all the clients are just in one segment and they can talk freely between each other. So this is where those third-party applications are really nice, because there's no firewalling or anything, and you can just talk at those high ports with on the servers with the vulnerable database applications and such. And it's a big playground. When there's actually some segmentation, what you more than often see is that there's no filtering between segments. So there's a nice client segment, and there's a nice server segment, and maybe some other segments, but there's no firewall between them, so they can talk freely as well. So, in my opinion, it's a really good measure to actually do some filtering in there, and whitelisting filtering. So check what actually needs to be going over that pipe and allow that only. And if that's too much of a hassle for you, then at least some filtering of high ports, for example. But I don't think that works in practice. If you really want to do it right, you'll probably also want to create a management segment from where you manage the servers. So not actually managing the systems from your normal workstation, but VPNing to some segment, or actually having a second box on your PC from where you don't visit strange websites, but just do administration. Don't share important passwords. And I say important passwords because, well, I know how many passwords you have and how many you need to remember, and I'm always told it's very hard, and yeah, I know. So at least not the important ones. Don't use your domain administrator password anywhere else, and don't do that thing with the local administrator passwords. Just disable those accounts or use random passwords or something. And also related to that management LAN, don't log in as domain administrator on some random workstation because you need to do something for a user or something, because your token ends up there, and if that thing is compromised or already has a keylogger on it, then you're in big trouble. Scan and monitor the network. I'm a big fan of sometimes vulnerability scanning on networks, but I'm also a bit careful on recommending this, because I'm afraid that people will take the first vulnerability scan and put it on maximum and scan the entire network, and that tends to break some stuff. So, but if you're in a maintenance window, for example, and you decide to scan a couple of your servers, that's actually pretty good practice, and you'd be surprised on what you find on there, the strange ports you find, and or what all ports applications actually open, and may even find some really nice vulnerabilities. And well, monitoring obviously is nice as well. If you can, IDS, and if you can't, then at least some sort of log monitoring. Then when you actually know that there's some domain administrator named hacker on your with a hacker username on your systems. And last but not least, don't let me tell you what to do. Every network is different, of course, and you may be in an entirely different situation with different budgets. So I hope these points help you and gave you some things to talk about, to think about, or maybe you've just confirmed that your network is more secure than most networks out there. So, thanks for your attention. If you do have any questions, this is the time.
If anyone has any questions, please queue up at the microphone.
There's a question over there. You can move up to the microphone.
This LSA secret, is that a static secret, or has it a lifetime? Is it?
It's basically generated the one time, so it's static for the entire domain. But if you find it on a different domain, it'll be different. And it's 256-bit bytes, so well, brute forcing that is not really an option.
Any other questions?
On your experience on pen testing, how often do you find the LSA and password that can be decrypted?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
When you pen test,
Yeah.
there are domains where you find LSA and you can decrypt all passwords, and there are times that part is desecrated, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I will walk over to you. I can't get close. So when I pen test servers, how often do I actually find?
You do pen testing.
I do pen testing, yes.
There are domains where there is a LSA thing you can find and decrypt all passwords.
Yes.
And there are times you can't because it's desecrated.
Usually you can't indeed, yeah. And how often do I find it? Do I actually find it? Yes. Not a lot of times. Often you'll find there one or two users that have somehow gotten this enabled at some part. But I've seen a couple of domains where this was enabled, but I hadn't created the tool back then, so I couldn't actually decrypt the passwords. I created the tool because I actually found it in the wild and wanted to decrypt it. And there's some other people that I know already did the research as well, but they're not releasing their tools.
Any more questions?
Sorry, regarding the LSA secret, have you found the randomness in generating the secret? For instance, I set up my first domain. Now, how is the secret generated? Have you found the algorithm?
Yes, it basically just uses the Windows random functions. So I think they're pretty secure now. So it should be pretty random.
Okay, and if you compromise the secret, is there any way to change it on my entire forest, or am I in a big trouble?
If you compromise that LSA secret, is there any way to change it? If the domain is compromised, what you should do is start over. But I realize that's trouble. What you can do is create a small program that talks to the LSA API, and you can set that secret to null, and that will destroy it. So if there are any users on the domain that have reversible encryption enabled, they'll need to change their password in order for it to work again. And if you're unlucky and you have a lot of users, what could happen is that a user's password would suddenly decrypt to the first character to null bytes. So you would suddenly have an empty, reversibly encrypted password. So what you probably should do is change all the passwords directly after that.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you for your attention.